teeth into the law on their own, 95, 99, 2005, and then finally July 1st of 2011, they adopted Act 2011-640, which we operate under now. Adam Walsh. This is one of the great things about George W. Bush and the act that he signed into law here. This really gave the Sex Offender Act teeth, because now we can register these individuals for lifetime or a minimum of 25 years, and that's published on the majority of them. These are the two murderers of little Adam. The man on the left is Otis Toole. The guy on the right is Henry Lucas. They were both partners in that murder. Neither one was ever convicted of that murder, but after he died in prison of liver cancer, I think in 2007, they opened up the investigation again and determined that those two were responsible for Adam's death. And if you don't know, Mom had little Adam at a Sears in Florida, and she stopped for a minute to look at a lamp while little Adam went around the corner to play. You know how in the mall they have little game stations set up where the kids can play for free for a few minutes? While she's looking at a lamp, he got their child. That quick. Now, how do we determine who's published and who's not? Now, in other states across the nation, they'll have a three-tier system. 3 tiers, and depends on the type of the sexual crime. What did they do? The state of Alabama did a good thing. If you're 18 years old when you committed the crime, you will be an adult sex offender. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, unless you're convicted of indecent exposure or sexual misconduct. You are an adult sex offender, but you are not under the notification law. In other words, I won't be sending flyers out to you. So could there be a sex offender living next to you? Did you not know it? Absolutely. But if they're convicted under sexual misconduct or indecent exposure, they don't fall under notification. Go ahead. These are just some of the sex crimes that if you are convicted of will fall under registration and notification. Now we're going to get to some of the majority of the rules, and I think a lot of these is going to answer some of your questions. The sex offenders, if you're an adult sex offender, you will come into my office and you will register 4 times a year. And it's based off your birth month. So on your birth months and every 3 months after, you will report. We set it up where they come in any Wednesday of their reporting month to report. They're required to register all required information during this required reporting month. That includes all vehicle information, phone numbers, addresses, all email addresses, internet providers, and as well as Facebook, Snapchat, their employment, persons they're living with. So we have to have all that information. Snapchat, especially Snapchat, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Because if we get a complaint, or the feds get a complaint, that there could be enticing a child on the internet, we want to know exactly where to go to. We have his Facebook account, we have his password. The next rule under that, they shall not establish a residence, maintain a residence after release or conviction, or establish any other living accommodation within 2,000 feet of the property line of the school, child care facility, resident camp facility, and all registered foster homes. It is a first come, first served basis. Now what I mean by that is if the sex offender moves here today and a nursery opens up next door to him 3 weeks later, I can't make him move. He's first come, first served. The offender shall not establish a residence or any other living accommodation within 2,000 feet of the property line on which any of his or her former victims or immediate family members reside. That's why it's so important for us, even though the case is gone, or if it's a case from another state or another county, I need to know where their victims are, because I need to make sure that I can keep him away from them. And he may move, or she may move, to an address, and he not know that she's within 2,000 feet of him. It's happened. All right, the next one, you shall not establish a residence, maintain a residence, or any other living accommodation, or have any other overnight visit with a person under the age of 18 years of age, except where provided by law. Now, this is going to be where can he live with kids, can he be around kids? Notwithstanding the foregoing, an adult sex offender may reside with a minor. The definition of a minor in the state of Alabama is someone under the age of 18 years old. The adult sex offender is the parent, grandparent, step-parent, sibling, or step-sibling of the minor unless the following: parental rights in the process or have been terminated. The adult sex offender has been convicted of any sex offense in which any of the minor children, his or hers, grandchildren, stepchildren, siblings, or step-siblings of the adult sex offender was the victim. If that is the case, they can never live with children. They can't live with their own. They can have a baby 2 years from now. That baby's not going to live in that home. Because if you're going to molest your own children in your own home, how can we allow you to have a baby to stay in the home? You see what I'm saying? 2 years after you've been convicted. Number 3, the adult sex offender has been convicted of any sex offense in which a minor was the victim and the minor resided or lived with the adult sex offender at the time of the offense. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a misdemeanor sex crime or a felony. Lived in the home, even if it was for 2 weeks, that child established residence in that home with him or her, then he could never, ever, for life, live with a child, anyone under the age of 18. Sex offender cannot ever been convicted of any sex offense involving a child. The definition of a child is someone under the age of 12. So the state's very good about how they've worded these laws. They're covering everybody. I know they're referring from a minor to a child. They're making sure they're covering everybody, everything. The adult sex offender has been convicted of any sex offense involving forcible compulsion in which the victim was less than 18 years of age. So any type of sex crime that he used or she used force, can't live with kids. Here's the employment restrictions. No adult sex offender shall accept or maintain employment or vocation or volunteer at any school, child care facility, mobile vending business that provides services primarily to children, or any other business or organization that provides services primarily to children. Here's a problem that I have. These ballparks and places like that, you know, a month down the road, I'll get a call, hey, such and such said that this guy's a sex offender, he's been working at the concession stand, or he's down there holding the markers for the football game. And people are very reluctant to call me. I've had a problem with them wanting to talk and call the person that's over the sporting event or whatever. That you need to call us. Because if we can get the message right then and he's down there in that concession stand or he's working them flags, we're getting up and we're coming down there. Okay? We'll drop whatever we're doing. All right. The victim is, if convicted of a crime against a child, someone less than 12, the limitation now shrinks from 2,000 feet to 500 feet. And that includes playgrounds, parks, athletic field or facility, or any other business or facility having a principal purpose of caring for, educating, entertaining minors. These little dance studios for the little young ladies, the dance studios, things like that, if they're the majority of their business, if their business is to entertain, minors, okay, doesn't have to be a child care facility or any place like that. The employment is based on where the address of the employer is. So if I'm a sex offender and this is my business right here, this is who I work for, okay? And I'm in the service, this company is in the service business, and it's not around any schools, then yeah, he can go out, he can get in his service truck and leave here and go work a block down the street from Pell City High School. He can do that because the address here is within the limitations of the law. He's good. Y'all follow what I'm saying when it comes to that? Okay. Good. Good. Now this is travel. Any sex offender who plans to travel away from his registered address for 3 or more nights must report to the sheriff's office to obtain a travel permit. offenders may not spend more than 10 aggregate days in a calendar month away from their registered address. And this is where y'all come into play to help us, okay? These sex offenders, when they move into a neighborhood and those flyers go out, they know y'all are watching. They know y'all are watching every move because we hear it. Some neighborhoods, I'll get a sex offender come in, they've been there a month, they want to move. People keep staring at you. People keep watching. And that's fine. Sign right here. I'll send you on your way. Go find another county to live in. So with that being said, if you're watching these guys and you know where they live and you haven't seen them in 3 or 4 days, shoot me an email. I'll have it here at the end. Call us. We'll go out and check. After issuing the permit, we notify the county and the state that the offender intends to travel, and he has to report into that county. So if he's going to Dallas, Texas, I'm going to send that travel permit and his information to Dallas, Texas, and I expect a reply from him on the day he says he's going down there. Upon return from travel, he's got 3 days to return that permit in person. I do not agree with that law. They changed it last October because if he's been gone 8 days and he don't bring that back from 3, I have no idea that he's back within the days he said he was going to return, or is he going to be over? Do you see what I'm saying? The 3 days, in my opinion, is just too much leeway for that. Travel outside the United States. An offender that wants to travel outside the United States must give me 21 days notice of his intent to travel. At that time, I immediately turn all of his itinerary, plane tickets, passport information over to the United States Marshal Service. What the United States Marshal Service does, if the guy's going to the Philippines, they're going to contact the government of the Philippines and they're going to say, hey, John Stone is a convicted sex offender. Are you going to let him come in your country? And that gives them 21 days notice to get permission. If they say no, then he's not going. Every sex offender that registers quarterly will pay us $10. The only other time they'll pay $10 if they move. So $40 to the county. If they live in a city like Moody or Pell City, they report to me, and then they turn around and they report to the city of Pell City. And that's costing them $80 a year. Right. Identification requirements. All adult sex, I tried to get this to blow up where you can see it a little bit better, but it didn't work out. Every adult sex offender has to carry an identification card bearing a stamp that lets law enforcement know that he is a convicted sex offender. And it's hard to see, but it's in red letters. And it is a felony for them to try to scratch that criminal sex offender off. It is a felony for them to show an old driver's license that they had before they were convicted. So they have to have that wherever they go. Now, going on to school grounds. This is the last one we'll cover. No adult sex offender, after having been convicted of sex offense involving a minor, someone under the age of 18, shall loiter, in other words, not have a purpose for being there, on or within 500 feet of the property line of any property on which there is a school, child care facility, playground, park, athletic field, or facility, school bus stop, college or university, or any other business or facility having a principal purpose of caring for, educating, or entertaining minors. Okay? Everybody understand that? The victim's under 18, then the 500 feet rule applies. School must be in session for the offender to be in violation. And that's very important because a lot of people say, hey, this guy's down here at school playing basketball at 7 o'clock at night. He's not in violation. School is not in session. A person of authority can ask the offender to leave if he or she is found to be in violation if he's on the property while school's in session. If the offender refuses to leave the property, then law enforcement can be called and we'll go out and take the subject into custody. An offender requesting to enter a K through 12 school, kindergarten through 12th grade, must contact the school authorities prior to coming onto the property. They must tell them they are a convicted sex offender. They must tell them why they're coming and they need to come onto the property. They get there and they have to follow whatever the principal tells them to do. There was supposed to be, a couple of years ago, the school system talked about putting in one set of rules for these offenders. but nothing that I've heard has come up with that. So they contact the principal, he tells them exactly what he or she needs to do when they come on the property. The offender comes on the property just shortly before the, whatever reason it is for him to be there. It may be a PTA meeting, it may be a school play. But as soon as it's over, he's got to go, or she's got to go. Because after that, they don't have a meaningful purpose for being on the property. Now, they tried to stop all sex offenders 3 years ago. They tried to get this law passed in October 3 years ago to try to keep them from coming on the school property. You just can't do it. A lot of these sex offenders, they have jobs, they have families, okay, and for some of them, for a majority of them, doesn't give us any problems. They're successful in society, but they do care about their children, and so that was put to rest real quick. So they are allowed to go. Now, right now, like I said, I'm Investigator Walton, Mark Slezak. This is our email address. Any complaints, concerns, whatever it is, email us or you can call us. Now, the way we collect our information, we put it through a system we use called Offender Watch. And Offender Watch is used right now. It's the #1 leading technology used by law enforcement in the country. The United States Marshal Service uses it, the federal government, all the federal government uses it. Homeland Security, ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children. So the information that we collect is instantly sent to Montgomery. Montgomery pulls the information out of our system, and then they feed it into their database. And so when you go to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency website, which is in Montgomery, you can pull up, I don't know how many of y'all have ever done that, where you go to the state website, you can pull up the pictures and the addresses. Their information is going to be delayed. If you want on-point information, call us. It's within a days. That's the information. You don't know if that website is going to be up to date, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? But call us. Any concerns you have, not sure about something, somebody call us. We'll come out. Okay? Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
What's the difference between the 500-foot and the 2,000?
It all depends on the victim. Was the victim under 18 or was the victim less than 12? Now, for a guy that's been convicted of rape first and his victim was 27 years old, he doesn't have to tell the school he's a sex offender. Yes, ma'am.
Our particular offender, what we got says that the act of crime happened in 2012 in Texas, but then his conviction date was May
2050.
May 15, 2017. Yeah, 2017. How's that?
That's a good question for the prosecutor in Texas because that is a long, drawn-out court case.
Well, he was just convicted, but he's in the neighborhood now.
And he didn't do any time, from what I understand. From what I could tell in the records.
Oh, he didn't do any time?
No time.
But that was
just
assault
that was
though,
just
not
You
battery.
know what his father does?
Pardon?
You know what his father
No.
does?
Birmingham Cop.
He's Birmingham police. Could that have affected that in
I don't know.
any way? Well, no,
I mean, I don't know.
wasn't putting you on the spot. I just want-
Yes, ma'am.
On that previous screen, you was talking about how 500 feet or so from different places. The school bus stop is in his driveway,
The school bus stop is in his driveway.
and the school bus stop was listed on that.
But is he loitering at the school bus stop?
Nobody lives there.
He what?
He's living there.
He's living there. As long as he's not loitering.
So he can't be outside
He can't.
the
I mean,
house.
he can't go out there and prop up against his car, next to the bus stop. That's the word. He's got no reason for standing out there at the bus stop.
Well, we need to, we'll call the school and make sure the school just needs to make sure they don't stop at that house. I don't know.
But you
So
can,
that's
you
where
can, you
That's where the
can,
pickup is.
he knows y'all are watching him.
How do we know he knows that we're watching?
The flyers are out.
Yeah, he got it.
And the flyers are out. He got one too. His face is on the website. He knows it. And he's gonna get harassed. He's already lost his job because of this. He's already lost his job.
So you're saying he served no jail time? Do you know what his crime was?
Sexual intercourse with a 12-year-old.
Why is it aggravated?
That's just the statute that Texas wrote.
Okay.
That's the way their statute reads out there.
But
Out here,
in
out here
Alabama,
it'd be,
statute-
for here it'd be rape second.
Be what?
Rape second if it occurred here in this
Okay.
state.
So if we see him walking around the neighborhood, and there's kids out, and he stops to talk to them, then I call you.
He can, but he's not in violation.
He doesn't even have to stop talking to him, that's what I'm watching.
He's not-
He's not in violation.
He's not in violation. I mean, I'm as concerned as you are when it comes to these child molesters, but when you stop and think about it, where can these offenders go and not be around children?
Well,
They
in our
can't.
neighborhood, there's probably
There's tons of
150
children.
children.
So there's no way, unless you put them on an island, they're gonna come in contact with children somewhere in the day-to-day.
Where can we get a list of what his violations are? So if we see that he is in violation of something, then we know what we can report.
You can go to the ALEA website, www.alea.gov, list of the rules on there. But if you got a problem, call them. We'll go out there and talk to them. I mean, we go out at 3 o'clock in the morning and catch them living in places they're not supposed to be and catch them in their underwear. And we don't have a problem coming out.
He hadn't been seen. He doesn't come out.
So the best thing to do is for all these young parents that in the neighborhood
Just be vigilant.
to keep your eyes open.
Let him know you're watching him. You know, most of them, they come out of prison, they say, listen, I just want to be left alone. I just want to be left alone.
But
He
he
had to
never
serve
went to
time.
prison.
Yeah.
Well, I know. But the problem is he's got them flyers out there. And so he may not have gone to prison, but for as long as he stays in the state of Alabama, until the day he dies, he can pay for what he did in the state of Texas.
We found some records where he was a felon. He was a felon and they sent him back to Texas. He was
Jefferson
here.
County had him. He was a fugitive. What is it?
There's only a certain amount of information the information that's on those flyers is all that we are legally allowed to disclose.
No, we looked it up.
No, we looked it up.
He was a fugitive from justice.
But there's not a lot of sex offenders in Argo. I mean, there's 3 within a mile and a half from
Yeah.
here. You're very fortunate, but you get down into Odenville, where I live, down in that way.
Yeah, but a lot of us have small children in this neighborhood, and I'm one of the parents that do, and that's my main concern is my child. I can't allow him to go out and play in his own yard, and without, and I'm one of the helicopter moms. I'm always watching him, but it's sad that in this day and time, I can't allow him even in the backyard because we don't have it fenced with the fear of that.
I understand, I do. I really do. And you know that the law will only allow us to do so much. Now, there's some more changes coming in October. They're fixing to ramp up some more laws they're going to try to get pushed through to make it tighter. They loosened them up on some last October. They're fixing to tighten up some other stuff, hopefully in October. But I understand your concerns, but if you need us, just call us. We'll come out. If it's 10 o'clock at night,
Was
We'll come
this
in.
victim a male or a female?
female. That's what we're here for. I mean, we're 24/7. You've got our email address. You can call our central dispatch. If you need us, call us. We'll come out. If there's a problem, you're concerned about something, we will come out. That's what we're for.
Is that photo what you took down?
That photo was taken in our office. And that photo will be updated every year. We get his tattoos, we get his pictures of his scars, we get all that.
Will that be on the state's
No.
website whenever it comes out? Whenever,
No, that's for our information for the tattoos and stuff. And it's just in case, he should have to commit another crime. We've got his tattoos, it's an identifying marker. So, but don't be afraid to,
How many, what area do you do the flyers?
we send flyers out 2,000 feet of his registered, his intended address, 2,000
Okay.
feet. At all schools, law enforcement, district attorney's office, juvenile probation office,
For the schools in the area?
all the schools. I don't do Pell City because Pell City and Moody, they're responsible for sitting out there on flyers.
Can you tell us what took so long to get the flyers out? Because my understanding, and this could just be hearsay, that he's been there right at a year.
Now, I mean, you could look at the conviction and tell that he hasn't been there for a year. The printers, and I have it over here, it was printed out, it was printed, if you look on the back of it, June 22nd or 23rd, if you look on the back right there, when it was printed. I mean, when the mayor called me, I'm looking at the invoice, they're wanting me to pay the bill for it. And she's calling me saying she didn't get the flyers. And then I got to looking, I didn't get mine, because usually, see, I mail myself one too. I'm on that mailing list. I get one in my office, and I get one in the sheriff's office in Ashland. And that's my check. And so she's calling me, and I literally had just gotten my mail for that morning, and I'm looking at the invoice. And she's saying she didn't get them, so. We don't know, I contacted Offender Watch, the mailings were printed out on the 22nd or 23rd. The only thing we can think of is either the printing company they use or it's the post office. I wish I had an answer. I don't, but this, I've been here since 2011. It's the first time I've ever not had a mailing go out.
I got one more question.
Mm-hmm.
In May, on that offenders list, got an alert with his picture on there.
On what now?
On that offenders list or something, there was some website that I would have
Your
registered.
website.
And it
I don't have a
came,
website.
No, that one that you're talking about.
I'll leave it.
No. The website that everybody uses.
it's the I don't remember the name of the website.
The offender
But
what?
you can register on it and then they will send out an alert to you.
In your email.
Right, okay, got that in May. Then 2 or 3 days later, it was taken off.
No, the next.
Oh, was it next day it was taken off there? And it just now came back on there within the last week, 2 weeks.
Now, in Offender Watch's defense, last month, they changed their whole system over to a different operating system. That could have had a problem with it, I don't know. I don't know. They're based out of Louisiana, and I have no, I wish I could answer that, but I just don't.
That was the reason everybody was afraid to say anything, because it showed up and then it disappeared. You didn't want to go tell people, you know, in case they had taken you on, because the information was bad.
But like I said, I wish I had an answer for it, but I don't.
So, he's on there now.
But y'all be sure and sign up on that to get those instant email alerts. We don't send mailings out when they leave. We just don't have that kind of money. I mean, it would be astronomical to send the flyers out. Some of these offenders will move 3 or 4 times in a month.
He's staying with you, yeah. Do you know what kind of car he's driving? Have you heard?
We've got his information, but that's.
Is it an
I
old
can't-
one Chevrolet?
I can't release that. That
There's-
falls under, I can't
There's
disclose
2
that
of them
information.
over there.
What did you
Yeah.
say?
There's a
Mercury
blue one and
Chevrolet.
a beige
The only
one.
thing I can disclose is what's on the flyer.
Now, Chevrolet hadn't been there 3 or 4, 5
What
months.
neighborhood?
Hidden Drive.
Then we'll be out, we'll check on it.
We think it's in the garage.
They're in the ones, they're in the driveway, but you can't see the driveway because
Right.
it's a.
Anything
So
else?
we can see his house from where, we see the back.
It's across the street from me.
Yes, sir.
It's more of a general question, not related to these folks right here, and their exact issue. But when sex offender does something with a child and there's a large gap in age, it's pretty obvious. When you get closer to age, what's, try to get 19 and 16.
You talking about rape second, where underage sexual intercourse? Is that what we're
I guess
talking
you'd
about?
say when the ages are a little closer together, there's still problems.
And they're both, even both of them could be underage.
Well-
An 18-year-old and a 13-year-old or something like that.
Consensual sexual contact with someone less than 16 is not a defense. Now, when you talk about underage sexual intercourse and the law of rape second, I'll tell you this real quick. There's got to be 2 years and a day difference, okay? And I know that sounds confusing when the age of consent is 16, but the state gives them that 2-year leeway. So if she's 14 and he is, or if she's 15 and he's 2 years and 2 months older than her, then he's committed rape second. If he's, 22 months older than her, no. The age of consent is 16, but they do give that 2-year and a day leeway if she's under 15. But outside of that, any other sex crime like that's probably going to be.
So like 14 and 16, that's
If he's more than 2 years and a day older than her, that's rape safe. They can be charged with rape safe.
Okay, is there any more questions for Mr. Walton? If not, we're going to kind of move along because we still have another speaker tonight. Does anybody have anything else? Thank you.
Just the one cul-de-sac. The second road on there.
Can y'all see his down?
We walk.
Oh, I see y'all. Y'all walk.
Okay, our next speaker is going to be Heather Shaw.
Thank you. I live in Hindenburg, and when I turned in my form, I had itemized some questions about, kind of in light of the former presentation. I'd asked about neighborhood watches, other resources that are available to our citizens and our school-aged children, about safety in general. Because now that we know, what are we going to do? What do we do now, specifically? I appreciate having the information about what's reportable and what's not. I think that was really helpful. I've gotten some neighborhood watch information. I'm still not sure if that's feasible for our neighborhood yet. We have a kind of a split in a formalized homeowners association and then not. We have some houses that are not a part of that. And so I'm not really sure, where that's going to fall. But specifically, for the school-aged children, whether they're in the public schools or whether they're homeschooled, or whether they're private, they go to private school, or whether they're women, or whether they're vulnerable population of any kind, or whether they're men who just happen to have females in their lives that they love. What are the words that we're teaching our children and our teenagers and our women and our men? What are those phrases that we're teaching them to say when they become uncomfortable if they're approached? What actions are we teaching them? Are you having conversations with your kids? I've had conversations with a few of the kids, but I don't have children. And my conversations revolve around, don't ride your bicycle on the wrong side of the road, you might get hit. Be careful. Stuff like that, because I don't want to have to go.
Now talk a little bit louder.
I can't hear you at all. Okay. Sorry. So I'm asking about what are we going to do now that we do know? And what kind of programs or what kind of just informal information are we teaching to our children that's developmentally appropriate to not scare them and to not make them so afraid that they're not functional, but what is developmentally appropriate? And is that being done at school? And what if some kids aren't going to the public school? Or what if there's a great program at a private school? Or what if there's a great program that a homeschooler is getting that we all need to share with each other? And women, and folks who are vulnerable, and for men too, who just happen to have women or children in their lives that they love. Everybody, we need to know how to talk about sexual assault so that I don't have a job anymore, because that's part of the work that I do at UAB. And I'm a nurse. I used to volunteer at Rape Response as an advocate. I've spent many hours holding hands of rape victims when they're getting the rape kits done, when we collect evidence. And it's horrific. And so what do we teach children in Argo to do when someone makes them uncomfortable? We've got to start talking about it. We've got to say the words. We've got to say things like, if someone tries to touch your body that your bathing suit covers, this is what you need to do. We've got to start talking about that. And I don't know how, so that's what I'm asking. Those were my questions in the form that I turned in. You know, what can we do? What do you want to do? Having grandparents reinforce these conversations at work. My boss will not tell me one thing one time if it's very important to her. My boss will tell me repeatedly, over and over, that things are important to her. So these are conversations that need to happen repeatedly. It's not a one and done. That would be my suggestion. I don't know how to address, the specifics of it yet, but I would like for us to start a dialogue. I would like for us to start having larger conversations with everybody. I'm comfortable saying the uncomfortable words to groups of children. I used to work at Girls Incorporated and did pregnancy prevention and health and wellness. So there are great curricula programs that will help, kind of close the gaps. But if anybody is concerned, another thing to do is think about what phone numbers you already have programmed in your cell phones, what phone numbers you already have programmed in your children's phones. Get those organized. We have classes that we can take advantage of in the community. One of them is GASP. I haven't taken that class, but I've met the instructor and talked with him for 50 minutes at Williams Orchard over the weekend. And I think he's got a good heart, and I think that the reason that he came up with the class is very good. And he teaches teenage girls and women how to defend themselves. And it's only an hour. I've taken a rape aggression defense class at UAB. That was a 12-hour class. It was free to me. It's $50 or $55 to non-UAB folks. So I'd like for us to maybe start putting together a resource list of things we can do, of other self-defense classes that are available, of gun safety classes that are available and that will be becoming available, with Line of Fire about to open, and Moody and Sheepdog and wherever else. I'm not exactly sure what else to say, but if you have any questions, let me know.
Our deputies actually teach a class a couple times a year in Asheville at their fire division. It's specifically geared toward people who didn't grow up shooting and that kind of thing, so first time users.
Okay. I will look into that and add it to my little list.
Any questions from the council to Ms. Shaw? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sarkady with the sign company is not here tonight. Any comments from the council?
I think that Ms. Downing back there. I'd like to tell Ms. Downing, thank you in person from all of us for what she's done for us in the last month or two. We did thank you when you weren't here, but now you are.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, Andrea. You've done a fantastic job trying to train the ones that did. This is the third one you're training, and we really appreciate you've put a lot of time and energy
The
into
fourth thing too.
and also helping us out with the court since Tommy's been off and everything.
You're so welcome. You actually have a clerk now that has proceeded on and done the last couple months of balancing on her own.
She's doing fantastic.
She's the
I'm
first
proud
one
of
that's
her.
picked it up.
Casey, do you happen to have how many hours that you have spent, and Andrea, that both of y'all have spent on trying to reconcile the books and get everything caught up?
I know Amy has spent probably around 50 55, 60 hours, I would say, and I've done probably about 30 or 40 more hours than that.
So you've probably done about 90 hours and she's done about 60. We sure appreciate it. Y'all done a fantastic trying to get all this done. Did anyone sign the book to speak tonight? Does anyone else in the audience have any comments or anything they'd like to say before we adjourn?
I have one thing that just ran through my mind as Ms. Shaw was speaking. We have in the past, previous administration, tried to put together a list of subdivisions and officers of the HOAs. I think that would be a good place for us to start as far as seeing what subdivisions are interested in a neighborhood watch program. I live in Brookstone. It's a smaller subdivision, so we don't have a neighborhood watch, but we do that. We only have 43 homes, and we have a number of people that are retired or that stay home with their children during the day. So we have phone numbers, and we pretty much watch out for each other. That's a good thing, but I think in lieu of what's happening in our subdivision, that we need to take it a step further. So I would be glad to help Ms. Shaw coordinate that if we can get the word out to the subdivisions to either call me, call City Hall, you can get my number, or call somebody up here so that we can try to put together that list. That would be, in my opinion, the place to start, would be maybe the president of the HOAs in the subdivisions. But like she said, if we just talk about it tonight, we leave here and that's it, then we can't expect the watchdogs that we need. So I think there's some organizing that's going to have to take place, and it's going to have to, the community is going to have to help us to get that started, and maybe then have some neighborhood watch classes within our neighborhood and see what we have to do in order to be, there is a program you have to go through for neighborhood watch. You just can't stick a sign up there. There is a curriculum, and they'll come out and talk to your subdivision about that. So if you'll help compile that list, then I'll be glad to work with Ms. Shaw and take that a step further, because I believe that is crucial. Thank God we haven't had anyone what we've had, and we do not need to sit still and wait for an incident to take
I would
place.
also like to tell Ms. Shaw that if she would get with our police chief, he has some information on the neighborhood watches and stuff. I think he has a booklet that will, give you some information on that. Did you have something to say, George?
Yeah, let me address them. Where we live, there is a part of it has an HOA. The other part don't. So, it's, and I think the larger part is the one that don't have it. Are y'all part of it?
Oh, we are.
Are
We
you?
were just all come together.
We're not.
We're not a part of it.
Yeah, we are.
It was just the way it was developed.
This may throw you all in a situation where it's worth coming together, whether we have some people in our subdivision that aren't part of our HOA, but when we have an important meeting, everybody that lives in our neighborhood is invited and encouraged to come. Because
I think
it's
that's
not,
what they said
the
the other
HOA
day.
is just going to provide an organizational unit. You still need to outreach to everybody that lives in your neighborhood, regardless of whether they're a member of your HOA or not. And this may encourage them to become a member of your HOA, or to start a separate one in that other section. I understand what you're saying, George.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.